That side case is off on the clutch side, and as an additional bonus, there was not a single bolt in the box of stuff I got anywhere. Well, I got my project bike. I just picked it up. It's a little more far gone than I thought it was. It's going to be a challenge. Should keep me quite busy. Here it is. I got some other parts, the tank, seat, clutch plates, new clutch plates, etc. For the bike. But as you can see, there's going to be a lot of work. I didn't... Those front forks are leaking. You can see the oil on the deck of the trailer. There is rust, which I expected. I didn't expect rust in the gears down in here, but the clutch, the side cover's been off for a while, so I'm probably going to pull those out and get those, try to get the rust off of them. He says it has compression. He did that by putting a vice grip on the Kickstarter, and it doesn't look like he's torn up the spline, so that's good. This boot is broken. There's a missing piece of exhaust. All of the cables and stuff seem to be here. The bracket to hold on the decompression tool or decompression switch is broken. Parts, that stuff is broken. This is going to be a challenge, and of course with it being a 1980, a lot of the parts you just can't hardly find anymore. So I'm thinking that me and eBay are going to be great pals here pretty soon. I got a Kickstarter coming for it. Got a chain coming for it. I would think that's probably a little premature because of the... Well, I got wiring there. I do have a headlight. He doesn't have a tail light, but he says he has a Honda tail light, so maybe I can stick a Honda taillight on there. So yeah, there's a big section of exhaust missing right here, which I wasn't expecting, going from the coming off the head to the muffler, the silencer. So anyway, this is going to be a heck of a challenge. I wasn't expecting this much, but hey, I should learn. The tires don't look too bad. I don't see a lot of dry rot on them, and they still have some tread, so that's good. So anyway, this is it. It's not going to win any beauty contests, but hopefully I can get it running. It'll be a good learning experience. He did give me new clutch plates for the clutch, so I have that. We'll probably see how much we can get off of there, the pulleys and stuff, and try to get the rust off of them. Looks like there's some sort of filter down below. Anyway, this is going to be the source of my pleasure and pain for probably for quite some time. Hopefully I learn a lot. Hopefully I get a running bike out of it. I definitely somewhat looking forward to it and somewhat dreading it now. But anyway, this is what I'm going to do for however long it takes. Hopefully I don't end up with the world's most expensive DR400S. But as you can see, I've got some extra parts, extra tanks, seat, carburetor, all that sort of stuff. And the carb that's on it, the stock one showed it had a diaphragm in the top, but this is not that same carb. There's some rusty stuff in there too. It's like a lot of cleaning before I can even get to the point of thinking of starting it. There you go. That's where we're sitting right now, and I'm obviously going to have to put something under those forks because they're leaking. Anyway, there we go, the project bike. Well, here we are with the project bike. I picked it up yesterday. I'm getting ready to look some more at it. The more I look, the more stuff I realize is missing. So, if you look here, that side case is off on the clutch side. And as an additional bonus, there was not a single bolt in the box of stuff I got anywhere. So I got to get all those new bolts. Well, you know, if you find them anywhere on the sites that have the schematics and the parts manuals and junk like that, if you do find the ones, and then of course it's not the same bolts all the way around, they're different. They can be as much as $6 and $7 a piece. People are wanting for these things. So I went down to the hardware store. I was mostly concerned by doing research through some schematics I could find, which, by the way, not every parts place carries the schematics for the year and model. You can find the SB400s and the GN400s, but the 400S, you don't find all the parts deals. But anyway, I went and I got a metric bolt, 6mm, with a 1.0. I was hoping the thread would be correct, a 1.0 thread, and it is. So now I found it a few years back when I was looking for work on motorcycles. I found an online place that has metric bolts, and they only carry the 1.0. So I was really glad this thing fit. So I can go get bolts there for like 22 cents each instead of $5 and $6, $7. They're not going to be Suzuki bolts, but they should be able to hold the side cover on. Finding the gaskets and everything to go around this thing is going to be a lot of fun again. I may have to make them. I'm not sure. A lot of the stuff that's in this, will be on this bike is going to be whatever I can find. I'm trying to keep it from being the most expensive DR400S in the world, you know, by making $3,000 or $4,000 trying to get it fixed. And then it's not, you know, only valued like at $1,000. So this is going to be a whole hodgepodge of whatever I can do to make it work. So this is not going to be a restoration. This is going to be a resurrection. So I've decided I'm going to call this bike Frankenbike because we're trying to bring it back from the dead, and we're going to use whatever we can find. Bolts, baling wire, bubble gum, whatever it takes, other stuff from other bikes probably that fit to get this thing running. But I am going to try to get this thing up and running. Like I think I showed earlier, there's a section of a canister or something that went back in here between the exhaust and the silencer. I probably won't replace that. I don't know what it is. Can't find it anyway. It doesn't really say what it is. It looks like maybe it was some sort of an air canister or something. Probably some EPA deal, I would guess. But the reason, I found out the reason, first of all, I found out the reason that the side case was gone on the bike is there's a hole in the side of the side case here. Right there. Goes all the way through. Somebody hit something and knocked a hole in there, kind of shaved it off. That's why the side cover is not on the bike, and that's why, of course, we're not going to even try to start it now because it's not going to hold oil, etc., etc. There's also a missing oil seal up here on top for the clutch, and of course the clutch arm is missing. So it's just a whole bevy of stuff to do. However, if you even try to find these cases, even if you can find them, they'd be $200 to $300 if you can find them. I only paid $400 for the bike. So we're going to try to repair this. I started doing a little research and found out there's some guys are using some epoxy to repair punctures in here. I found some stuff online that the guy had used on a magnesium case. He happened to work for the company that did the epoxy. It sounded real good. I was going to get some of the epoxy and then mix it with some aluminum powder that he did to strengthen it, make it abrasive resistant, etc. But you can't find the aluminum powder in anything like under, they had 36 ounces. Well, it's $90. This size of the hole right here is, like the size of a pencil eraser. I don't need $90 aluminum powder to try to fix it. So I started reading about this JB Weld steel stick, steel reinforced epoxy putty. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to sand this down both sides. I'm going to clean it with acetone to get it nice and clean. And then I'm going to try this stuff. See if we can stop that. After all, it's going to be a Frankenbike anyway, right? So it's not like it's going to be perfect. And I think we'll hopefully get that stopped. And maybe it might be sandable afterwards. Shoot a little black paint on it. I think we'll be okay. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to do. So I'm hoping that's going to work. So that's what we're going to do, is going to try to fix that hole, sand it down like I said, clean it, sand it down, put the putty in and let it sit overnight. I think it said it takes about 4 hours to cure, something like that, but I'm going to let it sit overnight. And then we can start looking at trying to get this case back. Well, I got to get the bolts, of course. That's going to have to wait for those. Get the case back on. If I can get the case back on, maybe I can run down the clutch lever while that's going on too, and the seal. But I think if we can at least get the case on and get the shift shaft for the clutch in there to close up the hole where it won't leak, we can at least try to start it. I did get the stock clutch. I got to go through it and clean it. I know that when you work the clutch lever here, it's not grabbing the clutch rod, so there's some piece I'm missing there. Inside, it didn't look too horrible inside. I mean, it is dirty. Gaskets are probably shot. Haven't checked the jets yet. I'm sure there's probably some clogging in the jets. Bottom of the bowl doesn't look too bad. I mean, there's dirt, but it's not like tons of dirt. So I gotta go through all that, make sure and get it all clean and get it ready to go. But it looks like I got the original carb, so that's good. And it looks like it is complete. I do have the bolts in this baggie over here. So it looks like that's complete. So that's where we're gonna start. I figure the first thing I need to do before I go any farther is, will the motor run? And to do that, I've got to be able to, of course, hold oil. It's got to be able to get gas, and it's got to be able to run a spark. So I got some spark plugs on the way. I'm gonna try to fix this case, and then try to get it to hold oil, try to get it a spark, test the compression. I got the kickstart. Oh, by the way, my kickstart came in today in the mail. It's right here. So I now have a kickstart lever, which is really cool. The seller said he took vice grips and pushed that forward to see if it has compression. I'm hoping he didn't do that while the side cover is off. I have a feeling he did. I don't know if compression, I don't know if there's any oil in that head. So I don't know what a surprise I've got waiting for me in there. At any rate, when we get ready to test it, we'll put a little oil in a spark plug hole, get it on top of the cylinder, get it around the rings. I don't know how long this thing's been setting. And we'll, of course, put oil in the bike, and then we'll go do compression testing and all that stuff and look for spark and see if we can actually get it started. Now, our throttle cables are hung up. I got to undo this mess of stuff here and trace those, and they probably need lubrication and stuff, but they hardly move. And so we may work it from the carburetor on the first test. My kill switch is gone. This is that decompression thing, but the bracket that holds it on is broken. So I've got full experience ahead of me with this, but we're going to go one thing at a time. We'll see if we can get it started. If we can get it started, then we'll know whether or not we want to invest any more money in it. If I think that motor's good, then this will be just a fun project of, finding parts. All right, I sanded down either side of the plate to try to get the rough spots out, to make it rough up the material so that the epoxy will stick better. I then cleaned it with acetone on both sides. It was somewhat dirty coming off of there. I'm now going to try this JB Weld. It says to just cut off the amount needed, keep working it into, working around till the color is consistent, and then shove it in there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you after I'm done. Well, here's the patch from the inside. I had it on there a lot wider, but then I got worried about the clutch basket sits in here, and I didn't know. It looks like there's quite a bit of room for that clutch basket to spin, but I didn't want to get too much thicker because I didn't want it to be catching up anything. So there's the inside, and there's the outside. I'm going to let this cure. Like I said, I'm going to let it cure for about, I guess, overnight, or until I get the screws at least to put the clutch cover back on. I was trying to do a little bit of a fit here to see if I did have any problems with the clutch basket catching on it. And I think the worst thing that's going to be about this cover is that the push rod for the clutch goes right in this little hole. And then you have the lever coming down from the top that works on like a rack and pinion type system. As you pull this, it works the clutch in and out through this pin. Now the basket, this pin right on the end of it, that's what works the pressure plate. Well, getting that stupid thing in the hole while you're trying to put the cover on is going to be a lot of fun, I can already tell. I just tried to do that little bit of a pressure, or a little bit of a fit there to see if I was going to have any problem with the JB weld, and it's already a pain, so that's going to be a real joy. However, hopefully that will work. I've got to go now and find all the bolts, get all the bolts done, and there's nobody carries the gaskets anymore for these things, and of course there is no gasket on here, obviously. So I may have to make them. Like I said, this is just going to be another part of the Frankenbike series. Hopefully I get this thing running one of these days. All right, here we are. We're going to start cleaning this thing. One of the first things I need to do before I can even try to get it started. If you look down there, the cover's been off of this thing and it's sitting in a barn. Can you see that? There's actually grass and crap in the bearings. See if I can get that light on there. And then, all this stuff looks like rust. Got some bug going after me. I'm just wondering if maybe some of it's not rust, it's just mud. I mean, there's stuff all down in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clean this. Also, there's a screw missing right there that to me seems like there ought to be a bracket holding that, putting tension on that chain, because I don't know if you can see this chain, it's just extremely loose. See, it makes me wonder if they're not maybe missing cam up here. But that's really loose. But it seems to me, see, there's a bracket on this side, that there's something, it's a nice shiny screw hole, nothing there. It seems to me there ought to be a bracket holding that guide on that chain better for the cams. But we'll get to that later. But you can see all sorts of stuff down in here. So I'm going to hit it with this Citrol stuff. It's supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be, non-caustic, all that stuff. I'm going to try to see how much of this is going to clean out. The only problem is it does require washing off with water when you're done. Now I realize some of these, there are gaps in here that go right back, like right there, go back into the transmission and stuff, so there will be some water that'll get in there. I will be running multiple oil changes once I ever get it going. I may be pulling some of these gears as well to just get the rust off of them. But my concern is all the crap in the bearings. So you should clean this up as much as you can, the Citrol, and then I've got some assembly lube coming on the way that I'll put back in those bearings before we try to even try to put it back together to start. Got a bunch of parts on the way, gonna be get back later this week. Hopefully I can get the cover on, and actually, boy, that fly is really wanting to chew on me, and get it to a point where we can try to put it back together. Got a bunch of gunk up here on top of the head too, so I'm just going to hit all of it and try to spray it off, see what happens, see if we can get it clean before we start digging into it even more. A little worried about that cam chain. It just seems really, really loose, and it seems like in that little screw hole right there, there ought to be something holding that guide in, just like that, to keep that chain more in place. So I can't find anything on the diagrams, the parts, the schematics, the whatever you want to call them, parts diagrams on the breakout of the motor on this side. I don't see it showing anything going there, but I would imagine there's probably supposed to be some sort of guide screwed in there right there to keep that more in place. I'm just guessing, but I can't find evidence of it. Anyway, we're going to start spraying this sucker and let it sit for a bit, and then we'll hit it with some water, and hopefully we won't cause any more damage with water getting inside anything. I think it's going to leak in there a little bit. like I said, I'm going to do oil changes and stuff when I first start doing this bike. There'll be a couple oil changes real quickly just to make sure to get all the garbage out, because you can see it looks like stuff off of trees down there near the oil filter, and it's back around the gears and the springs and everything else. And I've got that crap in the carburetor too, so I've got to work on the carburetor as well. Got an ultrasonic cleaner coming. I'm going to give it a deep clean and try to put it back together. I can't find a gasket kit for it, so it's going to be interesting. Anyway, let's start spraying this thing. Again, I'm just going to try to go over everything. Oh, I expected a foam. I expected it to be like a foaming thing. You can already see some of the stuff coming off. I imagine I'm going to take some of these gears off them, get the rust off of them, but you can see a bunch of stuff coming off already. A lot of dirt and grass and mud and all sorts of crud in there. This is on the head too, so when we get into there, it'll be a little cleaner to deal with. I had to put a spark plug, one of my old spark plugs from my other bikes in here to keep it from going down the hole, spark plug hole. Because of course there was no spark plug on it either. There's almost a complete absence of wiring too. I seem to have a coil, but I think there's another component, and I can't remember what they're called, or like the computer or whatever, the CDI or something like that. It may be missing as well, so this could end up being the world's most expensive dirt bike before we're done for what it is. Alright, we'll let that set for a bit. And hopefully you've got this in the view, because I'm just not looking through the camera. We see a bunch of it coming down on this side. But the clutch spindle, even with all that grassing stuff in there, turns really easily. The Kickstarter seems to work fine. All the gears seem to work fine. The oil pump is turning freely. This with the cam chain is just annoying the crap out of me, because I think there's something missing there. Anyway, I'll let that set a bit and we'll get back to it. Alright, we're going to try to wrench this out. I can probably hear mechanics cringing everywhere, putting water in the motor. Let's see if I can clean out some of this crap. Some of it seems cleaner. Didn't really want to hit it with a spray washer, so I'm just trying to do some gentle cleaning here. I probably need a little more water pressure. Pretty pitiful. There we go. Obviously this canister on the back of this thing too did not come with it. It's so huge it can't hardly get out of the way of the tire. I've got a line on a original exhaust system for it. But by the time you start adding all this crap up, it gets... Again, I don't want the world's most expensive 1980 SP400 or DR400. All right. Seems somewhat cleaner. We're probably going to put that stuff down in the, get the rust off of it. Whoop, camera's not even pointing at it. There we go. Yeah, some of it looks cleaner. Nothing else, get the topsoil out of there. And we'll start going from here.